Through a Scottish Prism, the programme that is unapologetically pro-Scottish independence and anti-Westminster rule. Everything we say here is viewed through a Scottish prism. Brought to you by Barhead Boy.
Hi folks, welcome back to Through a Scottish Prism. Only been a couple of days since we last spoke, but this is a midweek special and it's important. As you know, we're doing a couple of by-elections. We've got a couple of by-elections pending, one in Glasgow and one in Midlothian. And tonight I am delighted to say I'm joined by Kirsty Fraser, who will be the candidate for the ALBA party on November the 17th. Kirsty, welcome to Through a Scottish Prism. Thank you very much for taking some time off from your busy schedule of campaigning to come and chat to us.
Thanks, Roddy. It's really nice to be here, and thanks for inviting me on.
Right, are you at the nervous stage yet, or are you just too exhausted to be nervous?
I think I'm at the stage where it's flying in. It's absolutely flying in. It's been a whirlwind. I've met some really amazing people, and I've had some really amazing support from both ALBA members and just local people in the ward saying, "Oh, we want to give you a hand." So it's been pretty incredible, and everyone I've met has been so lovely. I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it.
Well, they say if you want something done, give it to a busy person, and there's no more busy than a mum. Now, yeah, and you're a busy man. You've got an autistic son that you look after. You're a full-time carer. You're also in the Feminist Network.
Yep.
You're in the ALBA party. You're standing for Parliament, or for Parliament, not yet, maybe next year. Standing for council. Can you do juggling acts and bar mitzvahs, kids' parties? And I mean, is there anything you don't do?
Well, what's the saying, Roddy? The hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. And I know a lot of women who juggle a lot more than me. Every woman you meet, and I found that especially, when we were standing in front of the arcade, the Brace Shopping Centre, every woman was doing 1,000 things at one time that stopped to chat. Women never rest. And I don't mean to sound, misandrous there, but I've never yet met a woman that's no busy.
No, the world wouldn't revolve without them. And oh man, I'm still, although she's been dead for several years, I'm still a mammy's boy. Always will be, as we all are. But the 64,000 dogs, a couple of times I've stood. I stood as paper candidate once, and back in the 70s, I stood as a real candidate, and that was by mistake. I opened my mouth at the wrong time. But what motivated you? Because it is a heck of a commitment to stand up and put your head on the block, to suffer the slings and arrows, as they say. What made you decide it was worth that effort?
Because I was sick, fed up on a personal level. Nothing happening. You're getting this, you're getting the same. You've got the SNP still blaming the Labour Council. Then you've got the Labour Council saying, well, that wasn't us, that was the SNP. And I thought, we need a change. The people of Glasgow deserve a change. Mm-hmm. And, for a long time, I thought you had to be somebody that was, uni educated, somebody that, was middle class to go into local council. And then, from just meeting other people through ALBA activism and the Scottish Feminist Network, I realised, actually, you just need to have a bit of common sense. Mm-hmm. And I thought, I can bring a bit of common sense back to the council chambers, because just now, I don't know what's going on in there. I really don't. I don't. There needs to be a change, and there needs to be a good change and a positive change.
Yep. I mean, it will, we've always got to be in the positive, and you're fighting this election to win it, but it will be a dramatic change to your life. If you're elected by the people, if the people of Linn constituency give you their confidence. Well,
the thing is, if they give me the confidence, I will do my very best. I mean, I've already, I've spoken to people, some really, some sad stories, from just chatting doors and chatting. And what I've done is I've giving people my details, to help them out with housing issues and things, and said to them, even if I don't get in, phone me, drop me an email, I'll do what I can to help, because I think naturally that's what I do. Before I had my son, I worked as a support worker. I've always had a caring nature, and I care about people. And when you care about people, you want to do the best for them. I'm not a careerist. I just want to help the people that need it. And these are the people that have been ignored.
Now, how would you describe the mood in the ward? Is it one of fear, trepidation, anxiety, apathy, or is there hope? How would you describe it? You're the one on the doorstep.
There is a lot of fear and anxiety. The winter's coming. Food prices I saw today, they've went up 14%. There's people that are, sick of what's going on in the city council, sick of these vanity projects, sick of, just the general administration just now, and they need change. They want to see that somebody's fighting their corner and taking their issues to the right people. And that's what I want to do. I want to be the pain in the neck. I'm quite happy being the pain in the neck. I've got a really thick skin, and I'm happy to put my neck in the line for people, and I've always done it. But people are terrified. People are terrified of this winter coming. They're terrified, Roddy.
I can't blame them.
They're just scared. Scared. Yeah.
Now everyone has a sort of speciality when they go in, different things. Do you have any particular thing that's really your, is it going to be disability, or is it going to be poverty? Or do you have anything, or would you like to think of yourself as rounded?
I'd like to think of myself as rounded. Obviously I've got my own personal experience of jumping through the loops of disability and getting that support in place. The cutbacks to the social care budget are absolutely horrendous. I was talking to one woman whose husband has dementia, and she's been waiting 8 months to get a home help in to do personal care. 8 months where that woman's had to, tend to her own husband. Her daughter's having to come in and help her because she was in her 80s. So disability, elderly, poverty is the root of all evil as far as I'm concerned. And we're a rich country. This shouldn't be happening, Roddy. It shouldn't be. It's not right. It's not right, and I want to make it right. And I want people to, I don't know about you, but I remember when I was young, people that worked had nice lives. People that worked hard, treated themselves to be things. You're not getting that anymore. You're getting people that are relying on benefits to top up their wage. That's not right. That the state has to step in. So I just want to fight for your average person. I just want to make, and I think everybody in ALBA feels the same way. We want a fairer society, and we're not getting it.
No, we're not. We're one of the richest countries in the world. That's the reality. And the Scottish people don't know that. And it's not their fault. A lot of them don't know it because they're not going to get told it for obvious reasons. We're energy rich. And yet this coming winter, as you've said, rightly, that people are scared because they're now talking about rolling power cuts and huge bills, and people will have to either heat or eat. And a lot of them won't be able to do either. So, if you do get in, you're going to have a hell of a workload. I mean, has that crossed your mind?
Do you know, I'm going to be perfectly honest, I've not thought that far ahead, but what I do know is I'll certainly be there to challenge the cuts because everybody else just, no disrespect to anybody that's sitting in the council just now, but the Glasgow City Council's priorities don't seem to be the people of Glasgow. Your average person in Glasgow, they seem to have a lot of money to spend on vanity projects. They seem to have a lot of money to spend on wee jaunts to Egypt. But I certainly, will fight, you know, I'm a fighter. I've fought my whole life.
Yeah.
And I will fight.
What sort of vanity projects is it that really annoy you? Which ones?
Well, there's a lot of money goes from the Scottish Government as a whole to a certain charity, Stonewall, who seem to be guiding a lot of decisions the government makes. And I really don't think that money, you know, everyone in this country has equal rights. Absolutely everybody. We've got the Equality Act takes care of that. So I don't understand why we're pushing the likes of GRA reform. How much does that cost? Because again, you know, I was looking at the amendments to it yesterday that have been sent in, and none of them make any sense. It's been a complete pig in a poke. And we've got pensioners going hungry, we've got kids going hungry at school, and we're spending all this money on something that doesn't need to be amended or changed because we've all got equal rights.
Yeah. Well, I was a Glasgow boy. I was born in Rotten Row, just there off George Square. Brought up most all my life in Glasgow, although it says Barhead boy. I'm actually a Glasgow boy. And it breaks my heart because in my whole life, in my 10, there never before was, to the best of my knowledge, people having to go into the city centre with their kids at night to get fed.
Yeah.
And yet the council cannot find them a warm building and somewhere to shelter. That has got to be surely addressed.
I've spoken to Colin from the Homeless Project a couple of times, and the work, and it's all volunteer run. Every single person is a volunteer, and there is families getting in there to get fed. There's a barber goes and does haircuts. What they would like to have is a place that's like a sort of one-stop shop where people can get a health check, you know, because they can't register with a doctor. People that can get a haircut, people that can maybe have, you know, a wee bit of dignity, you know. And the fact that Glasgow City Council have got so many empty properties, and they do shout that they've showed them a property, but the property wasn't suitable, you know. So it's, you know, and I have heard, you know, people saying, oh, but they've got loads of money, you know, but they need that money to set up once they get the property.
Yeah, because that is just something that we should hit in the head here, because they, if I'm correct in saying, they're buying all their food. They're not getting sell-by food. They're buying the food fresh daily, because if someone was to take food poisoning, for example, and God forbid take serious ill or die, you know, their insurance again is huge.
Yep.
And the claims could be in serious trouble. So they've got to be very careful. As you say, they're getting some money, they're getting some good donations, but they've got to get good food, and they've got to cook these, and they've got to be cooked somewhere. And energy, as we've said, is an expensive commodity these days. But we do need premises. We do, as you say, there's got to be. I mean, there's not a street in Glasgow where there isn't empty places that could be utilised, surely, Kirsty.
Well, that's the thing, because Glasgow City Council's offices in George Street are now empty. That's where the HR team used to be. They've now moved along London Road to where the community safety team used to be, because they've run out of funding for that, apparently. So the HR team's now in London Road. So they've got the big offices at George Street sitting empty. Why not give them that? You know,
Indeed, why not?
You know, but there's this, and I was talking to a boy, and what he was saying was, because I'd said, you know, the Simon community's just up there, they get a lot of funding, you know, from the Scottish Government, etc. And he says, yeah, but, you know, with me, you know, I won't give anything about the boy away, but he says, you know, I've sometimes got warrants out for me. The boy had a drug problem. He said, but with them, you've got to register, and if you've got a warrant out for you, the police just go into them and get your details. He says, you know, and I don't want to, you know, I don't know the full background with the story, but you know, apparently you've got to register with them and engage with them, whereas the boys under the bridge, as I call them, just give people a hot meal and a bit of support. And I don't know if you saw the video with the wee lady Mary, who was
the 72-year-old lady.
Yeah, that was absolutely heartbreaking.
It was terrible, shocking.
And that's that. It's so common now. It's so common now, Roddy. And clothing banks, food banks. I mean, when did food banks become normal?
Exactly. Yeah. We have this phrase, people make Glasgow. And it kind of, when you see the old lady in question, it says, well, we're not making it for her.
No, they're not. And Mary's in the city centre, but Mary's stories repeated, hundreds of times in every single scheme in Glasgow.
For sure.
And and the loneliness that the elderly, especially ladies like Mary, it's Glasgow's, it's really good points. It's got absolutely incredible points. It's a city I love. It's a city I've lived in all my days. And I do love the place, but I don't recognise the city centre anymore. I don't recognise our council anymore. I just think, something's wrong and something has to be fixed. And I'd like to be one of the first people to get in there and start fixing it.
I would like that too. Poverty grinds you down. Glasgow's always been a city, even at the height of the so-called Great British Empire, poverty has been endemic in this city.
Yeah.
And we all thought, when we got rid of the Labour Party, that we would start finally addressing it. Not been the case, sadly. So we have to go back to the drawing board, and that's what yourselves and your friends and the ALBA Party are trying to do. But on the local level, what are the issues in the actual ward? Apart from the ones we've already discussed, of poverty, fear, and energy, etc., is there special problems in the actual ward?
Yes, there's the people of Castlemilk especially. Roddy, hold on, I'm going to need to put my dog out the room. He's having a mad half hour.
So don't you worry about that. We always have problems with dogs. It's not Yvonne's dog, it's Eva's dog. It was Ian Lawson's dog before that. It seems, and even one time it was my neighbour's dog. Wait, I swear to God, the neighbour's dog must. Oh, he's starting his podcast. I'll start barking now. Don't worry about it. If you actually get a quiet dog, then your dog can come back anytime.
Well, he started chasing his tail, and he's a big dog, and he started barking there. But I was sort of pushing his head away.
So tell me, do you take him out when you're leafleting?
No, because he's too bouncy. He's a dog de Bordeaux, so he's a big thing. So people are either terrified of him, but he's the most gentle big thing. He's a rescue, and he still thinks he's a puppy. But he bounces a lot. So I've got him, and I've got an English bulldog, which always causes laughs.
I'm here in Dubai with my son. He's got a French bulldog. Totally crazy. Anyway, this is not the animal programme, folks, that you turned in for. We're just having a wee side chat here. So you were saying about the problems in the ward.
Yes, so in the ward, the people, especially in Castlemilk, have been getting promised a supermarket for years. I mean, I remember they've been getting promised a supermarket. So the biggest problem there is the bus service in Castlemilk is pretty poor, especially in the winter.
Oh, it has been.
Yep, well, it's still the same. So people have to go to a big supermarket in Tory Glen. So it's a taxi there, a taxi back, adding on to your already increasing food bills.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the big issues. The other issue, I was down at Wee Street Degree Place, and there was a chap that I talked to quite a lot down there. And he was standing in his garden just looking out. Now, the whole of the street was completely flooded. And I said to him, "Are you stuck?" And he says, "I'll need to wait for the drain to clear." So what's happened is the street is on a wee hill and goes right round. Whole street was completely flooded. People couldn't get up and down the street. And I said, what's going on here? And he says, they've stopped sweeping the streets. So what's happened is, I probably don't need to explain it to you, the leaves, we're in autumn, the leaves are all blocking the stanks and the streets are flooding. So people's cars are getting wrecked. He couldn't get out because his mobility scooter would get stuck in the water. I mean, it was literally knee deep. His mobility scooter couldn't get through the water. So there's a big flooding issue Also, bulk uplifts, big problem, bins. People are phoning council and they're turning up. Other thing as well is a big issue that was coming up was directed at GHA, Glasgow Housing Association, and that was people were still paying ground maintenance for their grass, their landscaping, and it wasn't getting done, or it was getting done less frequently. And what they were being told was, oh, it was because of the pandemic. You know, and this still seems to be an excuse with repairs. I was talking to another guy who was saying, you know, he's been waiting on a repair, and they keep fobbing him off, and then they're doing a botched repair. So housing's a big issue. So they've built loads of new houses in Castlemilk, but the older properties are getting left to rot almost. So lots of issues with housing, lots of issues. And again, this is a Glasgow city-wide problem. It's not exclusive to Linn, you know, but, you know, certainly the people of Castlemilk do deserve better. You know, Castlemilk's massive. You'll know it. It's huge, and, you know, it is a case of people deserve better. People are still paying their council tax, Roddy. You know, and they deserve value for money, and they're not getting it. They're not getting it.
I used to have a pal from Castlemilk who said he wanted to give the place a better image, and he was going to change the name to Chateau Linn, which sounded better than Castlemilk. It does sound better in French, doesn't it? Chateau Linn, I like it. Maybe that should be one of your first tasks. We're going to call it Chateau Linn.
See, I'm changing the name of the scheme.
Oh, you've got no, we'll have to call it I don't know, a village, a village.
The village.
A village in the south side of Glasgow. We've got, back to the campaign. The campaign's very important. Now, I know you've been working very, very hard, and you even managed to have Mr. Salmon and a whole crowd there out helping you canvass. How's the canvassing going and how are you getting received in the doors?
The reception we've been getting is absolutely fantastic, really. A lot of people are really surprised to see somebody at their door.
Sure.
Mr. Salmon, you know, was under the impression people were coming out to see him, but, you know, they were coming out to see me. But no, he was a great, you know, he's a great politician. And
he's a people person.
He really, really is. And you know, it was brilliant. You know, I had a great day, and a lot of people were really chuffed to see him. A lot of people, you know, there was one guy came out to talk to him, and he could. I think Alex has spoken about this, but he was talking about how he'd seen Alex at his school in 1997, and he was reciting back to Alex everything Alex had said, and Alex was going, "Were you the one that threw the tomato at me?" And you know, but it was great having him there. And you know, I'm out every day. You know, every day I'm out, and you know, I think the security at that arcade think I'm a shoplifter. I'm hanging about that much. But the reception has been absolutely incredible, because I think people realise I'm like them. I'm not. You know, I've not been dropped in for a university to go around.
No graces. What you see is what you get.
I'm not there to tell people how to live their lives. I'm not there to tell people what I want to do for them. I'm there to hear what people's issues are,
what do you do for them,
and what I can do for them. And that's exactly it. Because at the end of the day, they're putting their faith in me, so I'm there to work for them. And I think that's what we need to get back to. I'm there for them.
You'll be getting a good amount of help, but for any people out there who are in the ALBA party or not, who would just like to help in this campaign. Now, where can they come to help, and when can they come to help, Kirsty?
So tomorrow, I've lost my days. Yes, tomorrow we're meeting at the Brace Shopping Centre, or the Arcade, as some like to call it, at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Myself, Denise Finlay, Neil Hanvey will be coming along with us tomorrow.
He's a great campaigner as well.
Yeah, he's one of the loveliest men
Yes, he is.
I've ever met. So there's a team of us heading out tomorrow. So if anybody wants to come along, that'll be from 10 o'clock.
What are you doing? Are you leafleting or are you door knocking or what?
We're door knocking. I like to knock the doors. I like to speak to people, because it's all well and good getting a leaflet through the door, but I would rather people have that conversation with people. So what I do is I drop off a wee "sorry I missed you" card, and I'll be back, and I take a wee note of the people I didn't get in, and I go back. So doing that tomorrow. Then on Thursday we are doing the other side of Castlemilk, but we'll still meet at the shopping centre. That's a good meeting place because there's a McDonald's and we can get a coffee. So we grab a wee coffee. I'm sure there's other burger places available. But we generally meet up at the McDonald's, get a coffee, and then head on our way.
I should stress to anyone watching this, and I've done a lot of campaigning over the years myself for the SNP. And I remember a few people saying to me, well, I'm going to vote for you now because no one's ever come to my door before. Yeah. I've never voted for you before, but you've taken the ball to come to my door, so I'm going to go and vote for you as candidate. And that can happen, folks. So the more of you that come along and help Kirsty, and later on we're going to be speaking to Debbie, probably next week for the Midlothian campaign as well. But if any you can get over to Castlemilk, Châteaulet if you prefer, to the Braes at the shopping centre, 10:30, but usually at 12:30 most other days.
Weekends, 12:30. I like to give people a wee lie in.
And in the evenings from next Monday, 6 p.m. So what's the plan now between now and next Thursday?
The plan is I'll be a stranger in my own house.
Knock as many doors as you can, speak to as many people as you can.
Yeah. Tonight I'm going along to a public meeting, and I'm going to just again say hello to a few people, give them a wee bit of background, because we're still a relatively young party, Roddy, sure. And a lot of people still sort of go, oh, I've not heard of yous. So actually, I mean, I had a lady yesterday that, when I went to her door, I was down in Muir End yesterday canvassing. And I went to her door and she sort of said, I'm not voting for anybody. I'm just not doing it because this Gender Reform Act. And I sort of went, let me stop you there. 4 down on my wee list. I want to protect the rights of women and girls. And, and she said, well, that's it. The whole house are voting for you because I thought you were all in this. And I said, no, not at all. Not at all. We believe in equality as a party, but we will stand up for women and girls. And then I spoke to a teacher who was really pleased about, our ALBA's increase of the, put my teeth back in, education maintenance allowance, because, she was talking about, kids at school, basically saying, I can't come to school this week because I had to give my money to my mum for power, So she was impressed with that. So, ultimately we're an independence party, but we're also a party for, for people that are on their knees, and that's something I'm really, really proud of. I'm really proud of ALBA, and it came along at a point in my life where I was politically homeless. I didn't know where to go. And I'm a founder member, and absolutely everything we do, I'm proud of.
Yeah, I would think it'd be safe to say that, in my humble opinion, I'm going to say anyway, the ALBA party is the most left, social democratic left of centre party we've got in Scotland, no doubt about it. We've got too many of them on the bloody right, including the Labour Party, and dare I say my old party, the SNP, far too many of them on the right. And not enough people are remembering that the vast majority of Scots are the working class and the underprivileged and the not rich, and the ones that are not making the median wage and the ones that are going to suffer. And I can't thank yourself enough, Kirsty, because it's people like yourself who are willing to put their head on the line, who are willing to put themselves forward and fight for their neighbours, that makes democracy and makes our country great. And I want to leave with people watching this If you can give an hour to Kirsty, half an hour, if you can come and stick some letters and envelopes, I don't know, post your one street or one side of the street, it all helps. The old phrase, Kirsty, many a mickle makes a muckle. What could, if we could give you anything, pretend I'm your fairy godfather, if we could get you anything to help you in the next 10 days, what would it be?
Bodies. No, in the next 10 days, it's just getting the word out there, you know. So if you're on Twitter or Facebook, sharing everything, you know, that we're promoting, because a lot of people just think independence, but you know, if you have a look at what ALBA stands for, you know, it really will open your eyes. And you know, just some bodies, some people to help. Even if it's just you know, driving, we're struggling for drivers just now because a lot of people have had to give up their cars. You know, in public transport, going up to Castlemilk isn't great. So anybody that could, even if they're not comfortable going around doors or doing leaflets, or if they're not fit enough, if they could help us with, you know, driving, you know, we can all chip in for petrol money. You know, but just any support whatsoever, it would be greatly appreciated.
Well, I can hear the dog's getting excited, and I know you've got a meeting to go to.
Yeah.
Kirsty, I want to thank you and wish you all the best, the very, very best next Thursday. I'll be, like so many people, I'll be watching for that result, and I hope the good people of Linn are sensible enough to back the top candidate. Best of luck.
Thanks so much, Roddy. See you soon.
You're most welcome.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Through a Scottish Prism, the programme that is unapologetically pro-Scottish independence and anti-Westminster rule. Everything we say here is viewed through a Scottish prism. Brought to you by Barhead Boy.